Our thanks to Gianna Jessen for joining us on Right to Life Radio. All right, we've got a couple of other really interesting stories that we want to discuss, and one of these I think will be interesting both to our Catholic audience and our non-Catholic audience. This is a story that sort of hits home for me. This is a bad story coming out of the University of Notre Dame, my own alma mater twice over. So for my background, I went to Notre Dame for my undergraduate studies and my law degree. So I was there 7 straight years. I met my wife there. I love Notre Dame, and it's the ones you love who really can hurt you the most. So I want to talk about something that's happening at Notre Dame, where basically a bunch of extremely left-wing faculty members have started to promote some extremely bad, extremely horrible programs and lectures and things like that with regards to abortion policy. So this program is called, so basically this is coming out of the Notre Dame Gender Studies program and the John J. Riley Center for Science, Technology, and Values. And they're hosting this series of lectures entitled Reproductive Justice, Scholarship for Solidarity and Social Change. Now, what's going on here? This is a series of lectures explicitly to dissent from the teaching of the Catholic Church, not only with regards abortion, not only with regards to abortion, but also with regards to transgenderism and all kinds of other things. So there's the Roman Catholic Bishop of Fort Wayne in South Bend, Indiana, Kevin Rhodes, who's a very smart man and a very good man. He wrote a piece in the local sort of Catholic paper that's been sort of being shared widely, in which he's condemning this lecture series. So I'll sort of read from his piece, sort of explaining what's going on. On March 20th, the lecture series, let's see, he writes, by way of background, Notre Dame's Gender Studies program and the John J. Riley Center for Science, Technology, and Values are hosting a series of lectures entitled Reproductive Justice, Scholarship for Solidarity and Social Change. They define reproductive justice as, quote, the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, have children, not have children, and parent the children we have in safe and sustainable communities. The series features scholars and advocates, so not all scholars, which I thought it was what we were supposed to be doing at university, scholars and advocates whose work at the intersections of reproduction with medicine, law, history, and culture promises a deeper understanding of the issues and histories underlying current debates. It is clear from the past and planned events in this series that the organizers are not conducting a neutral inquiry or exploring the debates within this field. The voices featured, including abortion providers and advocates, consider abortion itself to be an essential tool for pursuing justice, equality, and fighting discrimination. The lecture series is meant to persuade and form hearts and minds for social change, which is why many of its invited participants are activists rather than academics. In fact, the lecture series appears to be an explicit act of dissent from Notre Dame's admirable institutional commitment to promoting a culture of life that embraces and affirms the intrinsic equal dignity of the unborn, pregnant mothers, and families. Now, to their credit, the organizers of the lecture series admit as much. And as required by university policy, they have to provide a list of Notre Dame's numerous resources and events that reflect the university's pro-life commitments and Catholic teaching. A timely and targeted rebuttal would, of course, be preferable in a matter of such grave moral concern. So one of the lectures is entitled Trans Care plus Abortion Care, Intersections and Questions, which includes a historian from Johns Hopkins, an abortion doula named Ash Williams. Now, for those who don't know what a doula is a person who's, it's almost kind of a birthing kind of coach, helper, advocate for a pregnant woman who's going through labor. I joked to my wife that I served as her abortion doula. It's kind of for those of you who are still scratching your heads over it, it's kind of a very modern thing. Sort of millennials and younger mostly are doing the doula thing. It's a little, I was a Greek major, ancient Greek major in college, and doula literally means slave woman. So it's kind of, I've often thought that the term was kind of weird. But anyway, regardless, the idea, 99.9% of doulas, what they do is help women with delivering a baby. This person is an abortion doula, which is such a inversion of the whole idea of, I guess, what doulas usually do. So Williams has a tattoo on his left forearm of a tool used for manual vacuum aspiration, a type of abortion procedure. Williams says he loves the procedure because it's one and done, it's quick. And I believe this Ash Williams person is a biological woman who presents as a man. So that's, just a double whammy of things that the Catholic Church, both being a vigorous advocate for abortion plus being transgender, promoting transgender ideology. This is kind of a double whammy of things that the Catholic Church is not down with. Anyway, Bishop Rhodes, the Catholic Bishop of Fort Wayne and South Bend, writes, not surprisingly, inviting an abortion doula to provide an unrebutted case for abortion has prompted a great deal of concern and criticism around the country and in our diocese. I share these concerns and consider the decision to feature such a speaker on campus to be both intellectually unserious and unworthy of a great Catholic research university. Catholic universities regularly feature engagement with a diversity of voices, including sometimes those that are contrary to the teachings of the Church. This is acceptable as long as the university remains faithful to the Christian message as it comes to us through the Church, which is an essential characteristic of a Catholic university. We should have the confidence to seek the truth and hear competing scholarly points of view. Notre Dame's mission statement puts that point very beautifully. But Williams is not a scholar or even a prominent public intellectual. The Gender Studies program in the Riley Center and the other units on campus supporting them are simply providing Williams, a person who literally facilitates abortions, a platform for unanswered pro-abortion activism. Academic freedom is meant to create the space for free inquiry and intellectual exchange in service and pursuing and sharing the truth in charity. But this lecture is simply a conduit for activist propaganda that is not merely wrong, but squarely contrary to principles of basic human equality, justice, dignity, and nonviolence that the Catholic Church, Notre Dame, and many others, including non-Catholics, have affirmed for millennia. So this is, obviously, this is really, really bad. And I think this is a difficulty that is happening within the Catholic Church, but also I think is happening more broadly throughout Christianity, particularly at our universities and places of higher learning, where we, out of a purported desire for academic freedom, a desire for we need to have free inquiry and free exchange of ideas, we lose sight of truth. We lose sight of, for Christians more generally, the Bible, for Catholics, the Bible and sacred tradition, we lose sight of the fact that there is a deposit of faith in which we believe. And that's the whole point of this enterprise. The point of this enterprise of higher education is to pursue truth. It's not inquiry for inquiry's sake. It's inquiry for the sake of truth, in service to the truth, and a deeper encounter with the truth, which has a personal characteristic to it in the person of Jesus Christ, for those of us who are Christians. So for Notre Dame to allow this to happen, this is, I think the problem is, there are some people who would ask, well, why doesn't the Catholic Church just stop this? Well, this is another unfortunate problem, is that a lot of Christian universities basically set themselves up to be separate legal entities, separate in their governance from local church authorities. So, the Bishop of Fort Wayne and South Bend can rightly be upset at this, condemn this, criticize this, but there's not much he can do. There's no one he doesn't have the legal authority to fire anybody. He could strip the Catholic character away from the university. He could, try to take disciplinary action against the priest who's the president of Notre Dame, but I'm not sure that would help. It's not like that would change the board of governors of the university or the board of directors of the university or whatever. There's just really not much that the Catholic Church can do against these rogue institutions other than like completely strip them of their Catholic character to prevent any masses from being offered there, any priest from hearing confessions there, any use of the name Catholic. Now, and I think there's a legitimate sense among bishops that that's also not the prudent course of action to take. So it's certainly something that is deeply, to me, as a Notre Dame graduate, and I know many of our listeners are Catholics or Christians and care deeply about this and think, well, how can we have this? Notre Dame is certainly it's either Notre Dame or Georgetown are the premier Catholic universities in the United States of America. And even among all Christian universities, Catholic or otherwise, I mean, it's either, I don't know, Notre Dame and Baylor, or is Vanderbilt still a religious school? I'm not sure. Notre Dame is at least one of the leading religious colleges and universities in the whole country. And if the abortion movement can infect even the heart of Notre Dame, like, what kind of witness is this providing to the world as Christians that we can have a transgender abortion doula, someone with no academic chops, with an abortion instrument literally tattooed on, this is a biological female presenting as male, but, biologically tattooed on this person's arm, an abortion instrument tattooed on this person's arm, that we can just have this be presented without challenge. It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible, horrible story. And, it's the people you love that hurt you the most. And in my case, it's the university I love that hurts me the most. It's my other home. It's Clovis and Notre Dame are my two homes. And I love Notre Dame. I met my wife there. I met some of my best friends there. Some of the great formative experiences of my life. And so much of my intellectual grounding was from there. I love Notre Dame. But gosh, this is just such a horrible, horrible witness. And I really hope something can change there. All right, when we return, the Biden administration seems to be turning back to trying to enforce Obama administration rules requiring employers to pay for abortion and other services within employer-based health insurance plans. We'll dig into that next on Right to Life Radio.